How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be making a brand new type of fertilizer using fruits and a few simple household ingredients. It's super easy, cost-effective, and perfect for giving your plants the boost they need. Let's get started. What I have here is an orchid that a friend recently gave me. Now, unlike the orchids we've worked on in previous videos, this one isn't completely on the verge of dying. At first glance, the plant still looks relatively healthy. The leaves are firm to the touch, holding their shape nicely, and the overall structure of the orchid seems stable. That's a good sign because it means the plant still has enough energy stored in its system to keep itself going. But if we take a closer look, you can start to notice the early signs of stress. Some of the leaves have small, dry patches forming along the edges, almost like the tissue is starting to thin out. In a few places, the green color is fading slightly into a pale yellow, which is usually a sign the plant isn't getting enough nutrients or is struggling to regulate moisture. When removing the pot, you can see that the roots are starting to look a little lumpy and uneven in texture. Some areas appear shriveled and dry, almost like they've lost their ability to hold moisture. A few of the root tips are discolored, shifting from healthy green to a dull brown or gray, which tells us they're not actively growing anymore. Here we're going to start by removing all of the old substrate from around the roots. Over time, orchid bark and other potting materials break down, becoming compacted and holding on to too much moisture. This can suffocate the roots and even promote rot. Gently shake the orchid free of the old material, making sure to get between the roots and clear out as much as you can. Once the old substrate is gone, you'll notice the roots much more clearly. This allows us to inspect which parts are still healthy and which ones are starting to dry or decay. A clean root system is the foundation for any recovery or fertilization process. So taking the time to fully remove the old medium is a critical first step. Now grab a clean pair of shears or scissors. Make sure they're sterilized with rubbing alcohol so we don't spread any infection, and begin trimming away the old or unhealthy parts of the plant. For the most part, this means cutting off dried, shriveled, or mushy roots that are no longer capable of absorbing nutrients. You'll recognize them by their brittle texture or dark, discolored appearance. Occasionally, you may also find older leaves that are starting to yellow or show damage, as well as flower spikes that have already bloomed and dried out. These should be trimmed away as well, since they only drain energy from the orchid without offering anything in return. By carefully removing these old parts, we free up the plant's energy and allow it to focus entirely on strengthening its healthy roots, developing fresh leaves, and preparing for future blooms. When trimming, always cut just above the damaged area and avoid slicing too close to the crown or healthy tissue. A clean, sharp cut helps the plant heal faster and reduces the risk of infection. If you notice any hollow or paper-like roots, remove them completely, as they're no longer useful. Take your time during this step. It's better to make a few careful cuts than to rush and accidentally damage healthy roots. Now we're going to clean the orchid with a gentle spray of water. This helps rinse away any dust, leftover pieces of substrate, or small traces of bacteria that might still be clinging to the roots. Make sure the spray is soft and not too strong. You don't want to damage the delicate root tips or stress the plant any further. Rotate the orchid slowly as you spray, giving each side a light rinse until the roots look fresh and clear. Now we're going to carefully pat the plant dry using a clean handkerchief or tissue. Be gentle here. You don't want to rub too hard and risk damaging the delicate roots or crown. Instead, lightly dab away the excess water, especially around the base of the plant and any freshly cut areas, since lingering moisture there can encourage rot or fungal growth. The goal isn't to make the plant completely dry, but just to remove the extra water sitting on the surface. Next, we're going to prepare the fertilizer. Start by grabbing a fresh potato and cutting it into small pieces. Potatoes are rich in starch, potassium, and other minerals that act as a natural energy source for orchids, helping to strengthen roots and promote new growth. By chopping it into smaller chunks, we make it easier for the nutrients to release when mixed with water later on. Try to slice them into thin cubes or small chunks, about the size of a sugar cube, since smaller pieces will break down faster in water, allowing the nutrients to be extracted more efficiently. As you cut, check the potato carefully and remove any spots that are bruised, discolored, or starting to rot. We only want the healthy, firm parts for our mixture, since damaged sections could introduce bacteria into the fertilizer. Now we're going to place all of the potato pieces into a clean jar and pour in about 500 milliliters of hot water. The heat will help soften the potato chunks and draw out their starches and minerals into the liquid. Once the water is in, give the mixture a good stir to make sure everything is evenly distributed. After that, close the lid and cover the jar by wrapping it with a clean towel. Let the mixture sit for about 1 hour. While we wait for the potato mixture to settle, grab yourself another clean container. Into this, add 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder along with 500 milliliters of clean water. Turmeric is a powerful natural antibacterial and antifungal agent. Stir the mixture thoroughly until the turmeric is fully dissolved and the water takes on a bright golden color. Once that's done, close the lid securely and let it sit for about 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, grab yourself a fine strainer and carefully pour the turmeric mixture through it. This will help separate any particles or clumps that didn't fully dissolve, leaving behind a smooth, golden liquid. It's important to filter out these undissolved bits because they can stick to the roots or surface of the plant and potentially cause buildup over time. After another 30 minutes, our potato mixture should be ready. Take your strainer and place it on top of the container holding the turmeric solution. Slowly pour the potato mixture through the strainer so that only the liquid passes through and blends with the turmeric water. The potato chunks will stay behind, leaving you with a clean, combined solution. By filtering it this way, we make sure the mixture stays smooth and free of any solids that could spoil, while also merging the nutrient from the potato with the protective properties of the turmeric. Now grab a small cup and scoop out a portion of the solution. Working with a smaller amount keeps the main batch clean and ensures we don't waste any of it. Next, take a clean tissue or soft cloth and dip it into the liquid, letting it soak thoroughly until it's fully saturated. The tissue should feel damp but not dripping, which makes it easier to apply evenly. With the tissue ready, begin gently brushing it across the surface of the orchid's leaves. Start from the base of the leaf and move toward the tip, following the natural lines of the leaf structure. This helps you avoid tearing or stressing the tissue of the plant. Make sure to cover both sides, the top surface, which often collects dust, and the underside, where pests like to hide. As you work, keep an eye out for any unusual signs such as tiny insects, sticky residue, or rough patches. If you notice any, spend a little extra time wiping those areas carefully, as this solution not only nourishes the leaves, but also provides antibacterial and antifungal protection. Next, grab a larger clean container and carefully pour the prepared solution into it. Gently set the orchid into the container, making sure the roots spread out naturally instead of being tightly bunched up. This ensures every part of the root has direct contact with the nutrients in the mixture. Once the plant is settled, we're going to leave it in the solution for about 25 minutes. During this time, the roots will soak up the nutrients from both the potato and turmeric. After 25 minutes, carefully lift the orchid out of the container, letting the excess solution drip back down. Take your time here. Next, grab a clean tissue or soft cloth and dip it once more into the same solution. Gently press it against the roots and give them a few light rubs. This step helps coat the roots evenly with any remaining nutrients from a mixture, almost like sealing in the benefits of the soak. Be gentle and thorough. Focus on the exposed sections of the roots, especially where we trimmed earlier, since those areas can be more vulnerable and need extra care. Now we're going to proceed with using cinnamon powder, which acts as a natural antifungal and antibacterial treatment. Grab a small, clean paintbrush and dip it lightly into the cinnamon. Don't overload the brush, a little goes a long way. Carefully dab or brush the powder directly onto the trimmed areas of the plant, especially the freshly cut roots and any exposed tissue. This helps seal off those vulnerable spots, reducing the risk of infection or rot while the plant starts to recover. Make sure you cover all the open cuts evenly, but avoid dusting too much onto the healthy green roots or leaves, since cinnamon can sometimes dry them out. You can also use this solution to care for your other orchids around the house. Simply dip a clean tissue into the mixture, let it soak for a moment, and gently rub it across the leaves. This not only cleans the surface, but also allows the plant to absorb a light layer of nutrients through the leaf pores. Once you've finished with the leaves, pour some of the solution directly onto the roots or into the potting medium. This gives the roots immediate access to the vitamins and minerals, helping strengthen the entire plant. Now let's go back to our main orchid and prepare a brand new home for it. Start with a clean pot that has plenty of drainage holes at the bottom. Now we're going to start filling the pot with orchid-grade pine bark. This medium is perfect because it allows for excellent drainage and plenty of airflow, keeping the roots from suffocating or sitting in stagnant water. Begin by adding a first layer of bark at the bottom of the pot. This acts as the base, making sure the orchid's roots don't touch the very bottom where water tends to collect. As you add the bark, try to spread it evenly and keep it loose rather than packing it down tightly. Orchids need their roots to breathe, and compacting the bark too much would reduce that vital airflow. A light, airy fill is always better than a dense one. Next, we'll continue by adding a layer of fresh moss over the top of the pine bark. This moss will act like a natural sponge. It helps retain just the right amount of moisture for the orchid while still allowing air to flow through. Spread the moss evenly across the surface, but don't press it down too firmly. Once the moss layer is in place, it's time to water the plant with the solution we prepared earlier. Slowly pour it into the pot, letting it seep through the moss and pine bark. This way, the roots and growing medium both absorb all those nutrients while staying well drained. You want to see a little bit of the solution dripping out of the bottom drainage holes. That's how you know the plant is fully hydrated without being waterlogged. You can also mist the leaves lightly with a spray bottle filled with the same solution. This not only hydrates the plant, but also helps deliver nutrients directly through the leaf surface. After 1 month, you can already see some very encouraging progress with our orchid. When we first started, the roots were lumpy, dried out, and fragile, but now many of them have turned a healthier shade of green and are noticeably plumper, showing they've been actively absorbing moisture and nutrient from the homemade fertilizer. Some of the roots even have brighter green tips forming, which is one of the clear signs that new growth is on the way. If we take a closer look at the crown of the plant, we can spot tiny new shoots beginning to emerge. These little growths might not look like much right now, but they're a very promising indicator that new leaves will eventually develop, replacing the old, damaged ones. The base of the plant feels firmer and more stable in the pot compared to before, which tells us the orchid has started to re-establish itself in the fresh pine bark and moss. The leaves that were once showing signs of drying and stress are still recovering slowly, but they look far less brittle than before. Regular misting has helped keep them supple and hydrated, giving the orchid extra strength to push out new tissue. Even a moss covering the top layer of the pot is playing an important role. It's holding just enough moisture to keep the roots from drying too quickly, while the pine bark underneath ensures everything remains well aerated. Together, they're creating a balanced environment where the orchid can heal at its own pace. With the same solution, we'll begin by misting the entire plant, making sure to cover both the upper and underside of the leaves so they can absorb as much nutrition as possible. After that, take the remaining solution and pour it gently into the pot, allowing it to soak through the moss and pine bark until you see a little draining from the bottom. This ensures the roots are fully nourished without sitting in stagnant water. Once that's done, place the orchid back in an open, well-ventilated area with bright but indirect sunlight. From here, it's all about maintaining a simple routine: regular misting, checking the moisture of the moss before watering again, and keeping an eye out for new growth. And there you have it. After 2 months, the transformation is even more impressive. The orchid, which once had weak and drying roots, now shows a healthy network of plump, green roots firmly gripping onto the pine bark. Many of these roots have bright green tips, a clear sign that the plant is actively growing and thriving in its new environment. At the crown, those tiny growths we noticed earlier have developed into fresh, young leaves. They're a lighter green compared to the older ones, which tells us they're brand new and full of energy. The plant as a whole looks more upright and stable, no longer fragile or on the verge of collapse like when we first started. I hope you found this video useful and maybe even inspiring for your own orchids. If you did, don't forget to give it a like and share your thoughts or tips in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about your own orchid care routines. And if you're new here, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on more plant care guides and homemade fertilizer recipes. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you orchid lovers in the next video.